Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, the Paranormal Portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
Tonight I am so excited. I'm always excited when I have a guest, but when I have guests like I have tonight for you guys, it's been a day where I can't even, So this is one of the times I've told everybody, all you lovely gatekeepers, welcome in. Hello, Laura, my wonderful mods, Chris, Monica, welcome in, Anne, Three Soul Salvador, Glenn, everybody. Nightmare, welcome in tonight. Thank you so much for coming. So tonight, this is going to be one of those times, gatekeepers, where I'm really dependent on you mods to, watch over the chat and, get out the pens. If you guys get a link in this chat, go ahead, follow that link or jot it down, come back in the live chat later and grab it because you're not going to want to miss any of this. You're going to want all of these links. You're going to have something opened, some doors opened up for you tonight, in this great hallway of the paranormal where you can go in and get these answers. The two people we have tonight, I have absolutely the most respect for. I know them personally. I've got to meet them and meet them face to face. Their energy and everything that's portrayed with them on television or what you've read or seen them in shows, it's just as real face to face as it is on any TV screen. So without further ado, I have somebody that I love with my whole heart, actually both of them, but Jack is something really special, and I'll tell you why. He's not only one of the most respected paranormal investigators in the community, and that's a community of your peers, that's hard to do, but around the globe when people talk about certain shows and, you're watching this show and they have the paranormal person in the corner that they ask questions and they give you information on that segment of the show, that's Jack. He is in haunted hospitals, I believe, the haunted case files. I mean, so many different things. He's an author, and I'd like to say he is my friend. And along with him, I met a lovely soul. Carly Hall is absolutely something else. She is completely real. She's natural. She has natural abilities and gifts. And without further ado, she has been on Paranormal Survivor. I have the episode and everything for you, but let's bring in and welcome these wonderful people. Join us tonight. Welcome Jack, Kenna, and Carly Hall. Hi, darlings.
Hey, we love you.
I love you back so much. I don't even know where to begin because if I just tell all of the credits and everything else, it's going to be the end of the show. Have a good night. Yeah. So the thing is this. You guys have experienced some stuff, and the best thing about it is I think once you got together, you've done, lots of classes and seminars, and you're trying to reach out and teach people what you've learned along the way. Yeah. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here on the show too, but also you guys have this calm and this kind of the humor and the smiles and the love and the light and everything is still there. It's, you're not jaded by it, and you guys reach out and try to teach as much as you try to learn, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, TV is TV. It is what it is. I mean, but it was for me, and I know for Carly when she did her stuff, I saw it as a way to try to reach out to people more. Okay, try to teach more, so to speak. Give my true thoughts and impressions on things, and not just what the producers want you to say.
Yeah, okay? And that's hard to do these days.
I had some good discussions with producers at times about that type of stuff too.
I know you did, Jack.
yeah. But at the same time, I always let them know. Look, I know what you're trying to do. It's about ratings. It's about being a successful show, and I want to help you too. At the same time, I got to tell you what I truly believe. And I also say that's why you brought me here, right? You call us an expert, quote, trust what I'm about to tell you. And it's usually always worked out. I mean, it's always worked out, to be honest. We've never had any problems. And actually, a lot of times it worked out for the better than what they had planned. So I always tell people, if you're doing shows, just be honest with them, tell them the truth, and don't just say what they want you to say.
Oh, so often I hear that too, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Carly. I think, in your case, Carly, the show you did on the Paranormal Survivor, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. I actually have a little slideshow so we can, show everybody. But you know me, Cisco goes the whole, 9. But the thing is it's the portraying of it, like you said. Like, how many times have we joked in Facebook or whatever? It's like, Imitation Jack just got thrown across the room, and this and that and everything else. And the people that they have portraying you in the show. And one of the things we've talked a lot about here in the chat. Pardon me. Something I forgot to do, my little alarm, but probably this. So it's like how they portray it. And I've often said, okay, well, the guy's brushing his teeth, and he said, I feel like I had something behind me, and all of a sudden there's this big blue demon with horns and breathing down the guy's neck. And I'm like, he didn't say that. He didn't say that.
No.
But they have to put something.
Right. That's what I tell people is, like, listen to what the person is saying, and then watch what they present it as, because that's the 10% that's the played up, right? I mean, and they're trying to make it a show, and I have no problem with that. I mean, they exaggerate, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
I really don't have a problem with the exaggeration. I think it's funny. A lot of people get upset by it when they show something that's like, I didn't do that, and that's upset. It's like, I get a kick out of it because I know it's not true, and people ask us later, it's like, oh God, no, I wasn't thrown on a bed shaking and whatever, it didn't happen,
Well, it's hard to portray a personal experience through TV. Like, you do have to play it up, because 90% of your experience is emotional because of it's personal.
Right.
So true.
You can't portray that through TV, so you have to have the people themselves react to it the way that the person reacted to it in a sense. So
that's a really good point. And plus, we all know, it's basically like, you could say, well, we're all adults here, and we should know that it's a lot of it is played up for that, because you have to have views. And it's just like any paranormal investigation show that's happened in the last 20 years or something. They all have a different angle or a different flavor, let's say. Yeah. And, the producers, you can't have a show where absolutely nothing happens ever.
Right.
You have to have did you hear that? What did it say? The board creaked. What is it saying? It said my name or whatever. All of that little stuff. And we went through that decades of learning when, Ghost Hunters came out and everything else. Yeah. But in a lot of ways, Jack, you started even earlier than that, going into when did you get started being that person that was asked for your opinion on shows? When did that start for you?
The first time we did anything was, it was Paranormal Survivor. It was a season 1, and God, what year was that? 2000. I want to say 2004 or 2005.
Right.
When I first did TV, and that was just kind of a fluke. They'd sent out an email to lots of people, right? And Ellen McNeil, who's the founder of Spirits of New England, and I talked about it. I said, do we want to respond to this? And what do you think? And she goes, oh, I don't know. I said, well, let me give them a phone call. I'll just talk to who's over there and see what happens. And that was really what got us interested in working with them. Was when I called them, I talked to the woman for 2 hours total. The full first hour, she answered any questions I had. And that was unusual. Most of these places, we can't tell you nothing. It's all secret. She told me anything I wanted to know, and explained what was going to go on, and then talked to me for an hour, getting a better feel for us and our team and stuff like that. And then it came down to, well, this is what we do. We tell people stories, and you're like the investigator and would fill in your portion of it. Do you have anybody who wants to tell their story? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I got to go around and ask, because it's up to them, right? It's going to be up to those people if they want to do it or not. So I asked one younger couple that we had just helped out with a case the year before, and they wanted to tell their story, and that's how we got started, And it's always up to the people. Do they want to tell their story or not? And if they don't, that's fine. we don't push them, we don't bug them. If they don't, then they don't. But we a lot of times had a lot of people wanted to because they wanted to share what they went through with other people, so
Right.
people don't know they're not alone. And we were just always honest about everything we told, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And who we were working with, Our House Media, was very good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they get off key on a couple of the shows, but whatever.
Right.
Most of the time, 99, well, I'd say 98% of the time, they were pretty good at telling the stories and being fairly accurate.
Right, and
You
that's
know,
just so unusual, I find, too, because it depends on the caliber of the show. And I think that you
yeah.
took your time and really picked some good ones. And I think you did too, Carly. Is that how you got in? Like, basically, email, you want to tell your stories, or you hear it through the grapevine? What made you go in and tell something like you said? I don't want to guess who it might
No,
have
well,
been.
so I didn't initially want to do it
Right.
because it was a very personal experience, and but my
Yeah.
worst fear was people telling me I'm crazy.
Right.
So especially on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was like, there might be people out there that are going through a similar
That's it.
thing.
That's it.
And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, now you got me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like
Yeah,
always the
I
sucker.
beat her up and made her sign the papers to do it. No, I
Wow. Well, see, that's it. Because you think about stuff like that. I mean, a lot of times, we're talking about it like, it's real, water off a duck here. It's no big deal. But it takes a lot to get in there and dig into those personal experiences. I know when I wrote my book, I had to do that. I'm trying to think of a vantage point, what my vantage point then was. Maybe now I have a different outlook on it. I learned a little bit more, or, just found out I knew nothing, or, all that stuff. But that's the key. It's Steve Stockton told me, if you don't write them down, they're gonna be gone. And you might reach out, touch somebody who had a similar experience, or like you said, I just don't want to know I'm alone, and maybe I'm not so crazy. But it is a lot to put down. Now, Jack, you've written some books. I have a little slideshow here because I figured it would be best. I know it sounds funny, but pictures are worth 1,000 words. And I figured if I've got your books and everything else, and also for you, Carly, that we could give a little bit of each one. I think the last book is really going to go through the roof. I mean, I can't wait to get it. I'm ordering it, and I think a lot of people in this chat are going to be very interested in all of this. So whatever comes to mind, there's your episode art. Now, I put this up here, guys, because my chat loves it, but they absolutely love the episode art and crispy and everything. But the main thing is this, I put it in, is because don't take yourself so seriously, right, Jack? That's what Jack,
exactly.
that was one of the first things Jack ever told that I heard him saying in a group. And the thing is, have fun, because if you're having fun and you're laughing, you're learning, everybody's demeanor and emotions are better off, your vibration is higher and everything else. So that's why I put this with the little photo bomb in here. But that basically says a lot. This is a very serious subject, however, and it can be scary at times, but if you just react calmly and keep your wits about you, you can usually work your way through, right, guys? So
Absolutely.
Here's some of the books. Now, is this the graphic novel, Jack?
Yeah. The first one,
Can you tell
Spirits
us?
of Forgotten Souls of Bay Path, is it's a comic book, really, graphic novel,
Right.
whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Right. But that's pretty cool that you started doing this, and it's based on experiences, but you wrote the story, and then you had a great artist. Some of the artwork in here is amazing.
Yeah, Alex Cormack is the guy who did the artwork for it. He does a lot of comic books for individuals and stuff
Right.
like that. He also does some work for the big companies. But he's been doing it for a long, long time. He's still out there. I still follow him and stuff like that. He goes to all the different Comic-Cons and stuff. He's a great artist, and he's done some great artwork for a lot of different comics, not just mine.
Just
But
beautiful
once
art.
I was told about him from somebody else I had been talking to about, would this make a good comic book rather than just a book? And that individual said, yeah. And she suggested this Alex Cormack to me. So he's really good. He's got a really good work ethic and all that, which is important. And so I contacted Alex. He wanted to do it. And I knew I had the right guy the minute he sent the first page back to me.
Wow.
It was exactly what I was looking for. The first page is actually the first page of the story that's in the book. And we decided to do black and white. I wanted to do black and white.
It looks really cool in black and white. It really does.
And I said, that's why I want to go. And he sent me back that first page, and I said, You're it. You're the guy. You're exactly what I pictured. Well, he did it 100%. Exactly.
Yeah,
what
and
I
it's
pictured.
different. I think it's different.
And
I
that's
think
hard
the
to find.
artwork is real eye candy, and it also helps that it always helps create that mood, and it's based on experiences, either your case experiences or others, and you've put them together in this this great grouping, and I think it's a wonderful idea.
Right.
So,
That particular story is based on an actual case that we did. Yep.
oh,
And
cool.
the other book there was that's a whole bunch of stories I wrote that some are based on real investigations, some are not, but they're all played up to have some fun. That's the
Spirits
Haunted
in New
Ghosts
England?
and Demons. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
Haunted
okay.
Ghosts and Demons one.
All
So that's
right.
just a whole. There's I think like 6 or 7 stories in there that I wrote. Some interesting stuff in the back in the last pages about myself and some things that I've done and some other just stuff I've written for other magazines and stuff. But those stories, it really has done well. It still sells on Amazon, not tons, but
Yeah.
well, I'll sell a couple a month. Somebody's buying
Isn't
them.
that great? I mean, it's a wild feeling
Yeah.
when that happens. I'll never
Yeah.
forget. When I see in my bank thing that somebody dropped $4, oh my gosh, God, this sold
Yeah,
like 4 books.
exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. But the reviews
Everybody
are
thinks
really
we're
good,
getting
you know.
rich doing this, right?
No, we're not getting rich.
We're not getting rich.
Yeah. But what I
Okay,
really like is
this one.
the feedback that came. Okay.
Oh
That's my-
gosh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's the priceless part. When you
Yeah.
touch somebody with something or somebody enjoyed it or you've gotten them to look at things in a different way or help them in some
Yeah.
it's amazing. Now this one I absolutely love the whole premise of this and how you broke things down. This is great. Tell us a little bit about this one.
This is paranormal research. It's actually the first book I was writing.
Okay.
It didn't get done until later on because I was working with with Schiffer Publishing, and there's a lot of demands you got to meet for the publishers to
Right.
get things in a certain way and do it right. So it took longer to write than the other books did. But this one I wrote it to actually use as a textbook for teaching.
Okay.
That's how I wrote it. I made it more of a little bit of a fun read. I didn't make it like completely boring. So, I give it some inflection in it and things like that. But I really covered how our paranormal team, Spirits Investigates, how we approach things, how to use the equipment, for what we're using it for, because none of the equipment's ever designed for what we do with it. All right. I work in engineering, so I know what a lot of it's designed to actually do. But it's interesting. We can use it for what we do, and there's certain ways you want to use it to get the best possible results. So I talk about all that, and I cover some of our actual cases in there, what we actually did in those cases, what actually happened, and all of it. So it covers all of that. And I actually use this book to teach local classes at my couple of my local colleges with. So,
That's just awesome. And
yeah,
you
that's
want to tell
exactly
people
what
where
I
that
wanted
is?
to do. That's
Right.
really what I wanted to do.
And that's mostly locale in
I'm in Rensselaer, New York, so just in the Albany, Schenectady area.
Right.
I teach at Hudson Valley Community College. I just
so nice.
finished signing up to teach at SUNY Schenectady here in the spring, and we might take it on the road.
Guys are like
We've been talking about taking it on the road, but it's one of those ththings I got to condense it down to a weekend rather
Right.
than 5 weeks.
right.
And we can do that, and I think we're going to try to do that this year finally, just because some people have been bugging us about it. So,
Yeah.
and it
And
does
they give
include
great
our-
seminars too. I mean, if you're at,
Yeah, we do our
I'm
seminars.
usually lurking in the hallway because somebody's calling me this end, somebody's calling me at this end. I'm like, I can't do everything I want to do. It's
yeah,
crazy on the Gettysburg Bash. And if you guys are anywhere, I believe they've dropped the time. It's the end of August again, I believe.
Yep,
They've
end of
already
August,
started scheduling.
Yep.
If you guys can get to the Gettysburg Bash, please get there early. Don't think you can go in there and do everything in like 1 or 2 days. But you'll get to meet these dear people. I'll be there. And there's so many wonderful people. And that's one thing I tell everybody about. You get that feeling where I was on the elevator. We were going, you're constantly up and down the elevator in the window.
Yeah.
And one of the ladies got on with my son and she said, what's up? She was there for a wedding. And she says, what's all this paranormal stuff? I don't understand. I think I saw Bigfoot and there's so many people wearing black. What's going on? And it was just so adorable the way she was saying it. And I kind of think of it as like, the way the outside world sees it. It's the scary people in the black t-shirts. Oh my gosh, they're so odd and so weird. And I tell the chat all the time, it's many of these people in the chat are paranormal investigators, are involved in groups and stuff. And I said, it's the scary people in the black t-shirts that when you're in your darkest times, they always show up to help with the light.
Yeah.
That's what these people are, and it's just so cool. But I love this book. I love the concept. All of I have Black Ops mods here. They've already got all your links going. So guys, jot those down or come back and grab them, because you're going to want to, we've also got the .org one. Can you get the books through there too, so you guys get the money set at Amazon? Or
well, no, I mean, the best thing to do is pick them up through Amazon. I mean, I if I sell them, I got to package them up and ship them. I don't want
to. Jack doesn't want me shipping anything.
Let them get their couple dollars off of me. That's okay.
And they're slinging you bacon. I'll tell you this on this show: bacon is love here. So you guys have got plenty of bacon coming. So there you go.
Little bacon.
Little bacon. Bacon is love here. So that's that. So make sure you guys check out this book and follow those links. The next one is Dear Carly. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this episode, and then I'll shut up and let Carly talk. It's a mind-blowing. It, like Carly said in the beginning, the light went off. The light went off and on. And it was always that light, or it was this, or it was that. It's very hard to portray how freaking scary that can be, depending on your time in your life, what's going on, with you emotionally, or, everything else. This is Paranormal Survivor. It's called Dark Dreams. It's season 5, episode 5. Now, in the description and also in the live chat, I have found a link where you can watch this. You can watch it right after the show, and I highly recommend you do. I think there's 3 stories on there. There's the pregnant lady that had the issue, and then at the end, and you're right in the middle. So skip past that one, watch Carly, and then go back and watch the whole thing again, because this is an amazing story. The reason I picked this picture, Carly, and I know we're kind of starting backwards and to front, but the reason I wanted to mention this is not only was this the dreams that you had when your grandfather came and warned you, and this part here where the man of light, you said he was like a gentle spirit. You knew it. You felt it. You have abilities yourself, and you felt that it was okay, and you took his hand and he kind of led you out, and at the end of that you said something that I've believed my whole life: the light will always find a way. What do you want to tell us about this episode and your experience?
So it's a lot. They did a fantastic job for 15 minutes. The actual timeline of my haunting was actually 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
They made it seem like it ended very abruptly, but that's not the case. It's a lot of internal healing that needs to be done in order for you to let them go, in order to begin the process of, a deliverance in a way. So I grew up in the show. I ended up saying, like, yes, I had a very, like, nice upbringing. That was a lie. At the time I was still in contact.
Right out the gate, she's lying, folks.
At the time, and this connects to the haunting as well. So at the time I was still in contact with the people, with my abusers and stuff, so I didn't want them seeing the episode and then coming at me. But I went through a lot of abuse in my life, and I believe that attracted these things, and they saw me as an easy target, which only escalated the abuse. So, and it ended up turning the people that were closest to me against me, and I literally had nobody. My grandfather was the last person in my family that I considered to actually be a guardian or some sort of guidance, like someone who was actually supportive of me and loved me. So when he left, I was like, oh. So seeing him in my dream meant a lot, because I knew that he was still looking out for me. It was kind of a shitty situation to see him in, but So he warned me, and that's when I discovered that my abilities were not normal, in a sense, because he kind of told me that.
Yeah, he said you had to. Did he actually give you an idea of, like, you have to use your abilities to protect yourself or to get through this?
Yeah, that's basically what he said. It was kind of cryptic, because I think we were low on time since they were right there, but he did end up saying, like, you need to use your abilities. Straightforward, just like, you need to use them, and I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, because...
Right.
So that took
honey.
years for me to actually realize, like, that wasn't normal, you know, like, being able to do all these things and having these abilities, like, that's a special part of me. So
it takes a while to hone that and to learn how to use it and to exercise it, which is why they always go out and try to teach other people. See, so we don't repeat. You see, this is smart. Yeah,
exactly.
It's beautiful. Can I ask a real quick question? You said you hugged him. Was that something that happened in the dream? Were you able to give him a hug in the dream?
Oh yeah, it felt
and I'm
real.
asking,
It felt as if I was right there, like, that's
Right.
how you can tell between a message and an out-of-body experience versus a dream.
Same
It
with
seems
me.
very
It happened
real.
to me. That's one of the things that connected with me. The minute you said that, you know, he said what he said, and then you were able to hug him. And I'm like, oh gosh, I hope that's true, because that's actually happened to me several times. And you do. You feel it. You smell them. You smell their hair when you know. Your grandfather and my grandmother, my mom, really, really pushed through to try to prevent stuff like this and try to help you through. And it's an amazing, first of all, that you paid attention to it. Most people would have blown it off, you know. But it seems to me like maybe you were clinging to that because that was your connection to your light, your protection. It's amazing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to get that part.
And that's a good point too, because that dream was very impactful, because it had, in normal times, if I didn't see those two attachments there, I probably would have blown it off as like, oh, okay, he came to see me and say hi, and then totally would have ignored everything else. If I wasn't like in danger in that moment, I would have blown it off. But I did end up, he told me to wake up, and I did end up waking up to them on top of me. I think, I don't know, I saw them in my room. I was being choked. I couldn't, like, I could move, but like it wasn't sleep paralysis, if you know what I mean. So I could tell, I knew what sleep paralysis was at the time, and that was not it.
That was not it. Yep.
No. And I ended up telling my mom about it that day, and she just blew me off as like just a crazy person who had a nightmare. But I knew that was something more that was real, because that ended up snowballing all of the experiences that I started to have throughout the next 10 years. I had the next year and a half unassisted with these things, and it was absolutely horrible. It drove me beyond what I was even capable of handling. And it's hard with the show, because you have to talk about your paranormal experiences, but I will tell you, a major percentage of that was not paranormal. But those types of cases, they affect the people outside of, like, the paranormal.
Yes.
The people closest to you, so that they can break you down, because they're your closest connection. That was all I had. So, and if I don't have that, then I don't have anything, really, honestly, when you're that age. So then I went through, I met my guide, my spirit guide. He came to me in a dream.
Cool.
He taught me everything I needed to know for the next forever, honestly, up until 2 years ago. And he finally left when I met Jack. And
yeah, another spirit guide. Yeah, we're all spirit. You know, we're all spirit. You know what I mean? We're just in different forms. It's so true. But that's so neat when they come in when you need them the most. And I've said that many times on this show. I've tried to explain that in my understanding at this time, and I could be completely just, no kidding, batshit crazy. But the way I believe right now is that you have certain spirit guides that come through, like you have one or more, and then you get special ones along the way. Sometimes they are in spirit, and sometimes they're human spirit. You know, and that's happened for you. And I think it is so unfair, but it seems to be the case. I know, Jack, you've said this too, that if you are abused, if you have that kind of breakdown of, you know, your love circle, whatever it may be, whatever kind of abuse, whether it be mental or physical or whatever, it does leave a crack to get through your protective light, or, you know, I call it crack in your windshield, and the more they push on it, boom, all they know is they got that little flaw, they just push on it, whatever that may be. It could just be something as simple as depression or alcoholism or any kind of thing like that. And it just doesn't seem to be fair. that a child could be abused, and that opens the door for more abuse from the other side. But that seems to be the way it is. Have you guys seen more cases like this? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cases we see like that. We haven't had anything more recently, but we had the one that was an actual possession case. That's kind of what brought it all in, was all this abuse that was going on. And it had started even decades before with the mother, and that's when we believe it actually attached itself to her. But then it moved to her daughter because her daughter became an easier target because of abuse, sexual abuse, and stuff like that. So it happens a lot. I mean, and sometimes people confuse what they're having memories of with something paranormal. I bring this up because this just happened at a lecture we did out in Michigan, where a younger girl approached me and said, I think I had something paranormal going on. She starts, I said, well, what do you think is happening? What is happening? She started telling me about these dreams she was having, and about remembering, like coloring making certain pictures that were pretty, ugly pictures and things like that. And some of these other things. And I said, this doesn't sound paranormal to me. And I asked her, I said, does anything seem like really real to you? And she goes, no, it just seems like a dream. And I'm like, I said, you don't have to tell me details, but did you go through abuse as a child? She's like, she kind of got shocked by that.
Right.
And her
how
girlfriend's
do you know?
with her. Her girlfriend was with her going, nudging her. And she's like, yeah. I said, this is what's happening. I think this is coming back to you. You're starting to remember things through your dreams. I said, I really suggest you go to somebody for counseling. And her girlfriend's like, yeah, they've been talking about it. I said, so you just have to admit to yourself, and it's okay that what you're having isn't paranormal related. A lot of people like to blame stuff on that. It's not paranormal. It's from your past, and it's some abuse you went through, and you need to go search help for that. I said,
and unpack it.
Or it could become something paranormal, and you really don't want to deal with that because it'll draw something in. And she's like, no, they had no clue.
Right.
I said, yes, it can bring other things in and make your life a real living hell.
Absolutely.
So we talked for a little while, and she was going to go talk to the counselor on campus and stuff like that. So sometimes you can help people that way. But my point is, not everything you dream, not everything you think about or have a dream of is paranormal. Just like kind of Carly's saying, some of it has to do with your abuse.
Absolutely.
That you went through or
and that's happened to me too. Like I've had like things with him where I'm like, I don't know if I just left my body and entered somebody else's, but it's really just you accessing repressed memories that you repressed to survive. And so
yes,
just because you're out of the abusive situation, it doesn't mean you're, and this is the toughest lesson I learned, it doesn't mean you're done. You still got tons more to go, because that healing journey is hard, but it's doable.
And it's so true, sweetie. It's so true. And like you said too, it was a process, and you had to learn how to do it. Your spirit guide came in and gave you. Now, was that through dreams, or that through like one dream and he just downloaded a lot of information, or it was over time?
It was both. So mainly through like life experiences. Yeah, so it's mainly through like life experiences. So like I'll deal with them or with my environment like one-on-one, and he'll give me advice of like how to mainly change my energy. So a lot of negative things would happen around me, and I'd have to learn to see the bright side in order to, kind of change my vibration to a more positive one. That way it would kind of deflect them away. They wouldn't be able to like be attracted to me as much. And that way I'd be able to kind of make my flame a little bit brighter to work with. So it was really working from the ground up, from my viewpoint, to being able to harness and strengthen my abilities. So then I could, later on in the years, I could work on learning Reiki, closing portals. I could do like various like energy work, and putting up protection in my room, which the crazy thing was my protection was so strong in my room. Nobody could enter my room but me.
Now, you think that's a combination of, say like your your grandfather also putting his protection in there? Because I've heard a lot about spirits coming over to protect loved ones from things, or just people that they care about from things. We hear that a lot, well, there's a spirit here, I'm here to protect. The whole time they're mad at the old lady ghost that comes in to cover up the kids who are sitting in the room. You're scaring my kids. No, I'm here to protect them from him. When we finally uncover that happens a lot. Now, Monica here is asking because she said she's gone through similar. So I was telling her in the chat that you're basically unpacking now how to do it. It's a process, and it's about your reaching and finding your inner strength, your faith, whatever your foundation is, finding your light and your abilities. Even if you feel like you don't have any, everybody's got intuition and, discernment, and all of these are powerful, aren't they, Jack?
Yeah. It's just like trusting your gut sometimes. I mean, everybody has some kind of ability. All humans can sense if something's not right. I like to use the analogy: you walk into one bar and it's like, I better not stay here. You can sense the tension in the air, like something's bad's about to happen. And you leave. Then you walk into the next one. It's like everybody's having a great time, and it's really good energy. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna hang out here. It's simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's just who we are as humans. We have those abilities to sense certain things, right? And sometimes that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about any like psychic abilities or things like that, although in a way they are a sixth sense, right? You've got that sixth sense telling you, don't stay here, get out of here, there's trouble, there's something bad's going to happen, and then there's other times where it's like, okay, you're safe here, it's okay here, that's your sixth sense. I mean, and then there's others who have generated that or develop that into something more, right? And you have psychic abilities and stuff like that. I do think probably most everybody is capable of those, but you have to learn how to tap into it, and you have to learn how to connect with it, and you have to have somebody who does that already, who's really good at those abilities, psychic abilities, teach you how to connect with that. You can't just do it. It just doesn't happen. Some people are born with those abilities already that are already honed. They're just not sure what to do with them, right? And that can be confusing. So,
like a 3-year-old that can play the piano without much lessons, it almost comes natural. Or someone who's good at gymnastics all of a sudden, I don't know, or baseball or sport. It's the same type of thing. We just
you have a talent.
And you also choose to work it. And I think that's a large part of this. But some people, like Monica here is asking, and I've had other people in the chat too, and I know, Carly, you've been through this, when you have something like that and you feel oppressed and it's like everything's coming down on you. If you don't have someone to turn to in your family that understands or believes you, like you said, and you feel alone, what would be your advice to someone? Because my concern is always with young people who have abilities and don't quite know how to work them, and maybe get down on the wrong road, and then that side takes advantage of that. Where would you ask them to go? Do you guys do classes, or do you have someone you trust that might have, would you suggest going in your town and looking for psychic fair and kind of feeling out each person? What would you do? If to someone who, I wouldn't recommend going getting tarot cards and a Ouija board and trying to figure out who's in your house.
No.
Go toward the light, not this way.
Don't investigate your own home. No, don't do that.
So one of the first things that I was taught was not to depend on my spirit guide, even though that happened unconsciously. It was more find a faith and depend on that, a positive one. So something more powerful and higher than you that's able to, in my sense, since I'm a Christian and I know Jack is, it was God. So I would use my prayers and like Bibles and crosses as like symbols of protection, because the crosses themselves can't protect you by themselves.
It's your faith.
They have to have power infused into them, which is your level of faith.
Absolutely.
We're not talking religion either.
No,
it's faith and religion are two different things.
Two different things.
And people confuse that a lot. And it is two different things. Religion is the organized thing that is put together to say, here's how we're going to do this.
Control you.
Faith is what's supposed to be running the church, actual faith.
Excellent.
in what you believe in.
And you don't need anything to stand between to connect your divine light to your divine source.
Correct.
You don't. And that happens a lot. And I think that came over time. And I've tried to explain that. I've had a lot of people on trying to explain that to people in there, because this is what happens. I've known many people that feel like all those doors have been shut on them and it's not available to them anymore because they're not fitting a cookie cutter mold. That's not how it's supposed to be. You have that light, and nobody can take that from you. You can dim it yourself and you can shut it down, but as soon as you start sourcing that, all the little things, little things to start. Maybe just, I tell people just to do simple grounding, whether that may be go fishing, garden, get in, hug a tree. I know that sounds crazy, tree huggers, but if you're envisioning that golden light coming through your head and going down and going into the tree, into the roots, but at the same time you're pulling from that earth and refilling yourself with positive light. If you can't believe in the power of nature and a tree standing in front of you, you're going to have a hard time with things you can't see. So maybe if you have faith in yourself first, that faith will grow in the direction that was meant for you. Does that make a little sense? Because I just don't like seeing people shutting themselves off and say, I don't fit this, so that's not going to protect me, because I'm told I didn't fit into this mold.
Yeah, but it's like anything else. Again, that's the religion they're being told they don't fit into.
Exactly.
Okay? That's what they're being told they don't fit. You can fit into the faith.
Faith is
you don't have to go to church. I mean, you could go to church all the time and not have any faith.
Exactly.
Right, but you can also have faith and not go into church, but read your Bible, interpret it for yourself, if that's what you want. If you're more into the Wicca, I mean, they have their own Bible and stuff too. So it's whatever you find yourself drawn to, as long as it's something positive. Don't get into Satanism. That's not
right. That's
it's kind of the wrong path to follow if you're looking for the light.
Yeah, I always say if it has the core of love and kindness to treat other people the way you want to be treated, things like the common sense, moral compass stuff. But there are people who get into that dark thing and can't find their way out, and that's when things start really coming on to them, where they're well, I'll go this way because I don't fit in, so I'm going to go over here, and then they get deeper and deeper and deeper. Sometimes they come out of it, but sometimes not. So I always try to find little avenues that they can take and to look into stuff. And I think one of the great places for that, I've been watching and lurking and saying hi and how you doing. Sometimes I'm working when you guys are on, and I don't always get to catch it live, so you don't know I'm there. But I think that's a great place to go, and that's on your Facebook. Mods, if you could drop that Facebook link for Jack's channel. And this is on Tuesday nights. It's 7 to 9, correct? Is that what 8 to 9. 8 to 9. I'm sorry. I gave you an extra hour. Now you got to do 2. I'm sorry. But the thing
we did used to do 2 hours, and it became a little too much for us with everything else we got going on.
It's a lot to do.
Got back to an hour. So.
But Q&A on that, I think that's a great thing. And also, because we know a lot of people, and we've gotten to know them over the years, and who to trust, and who, integrity and intent and everything else, we have a paranormal chain of help, I believe. So if you're in California and you can't get, Jack and his group, or Carly and everybody to come in to look at your case, or we have people we can maybe send you that way. There's a lot can be done in Zoom meetings now. We found out we can do a lot now. Things like that. So, the main part of this is don't give up hope. Always reach out, because I guarantee you in this community, and the people that we know and the people that their hands, anytime a hand comes out, a hand always comes back and says, I got you, or I can lead you to the right spot. Don't ever give up hope on that. Thanks, Mods. Appreciate that. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but if somebody came into your chat and at least asked you, hey, I'm having some issues or whatever. I know, Jack, you have, now it's Spirits is the name of your paranormal, is that correct?
Spirits of New England. Spirits of New England is the team,
I think it's awesome. The way you have them fill out a form and answer this checklist. There's a reason for that. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, it's we actually got the form originally from, believe it or not, was Jason and Grant, Ghost Hunters.
Okay.
When their taps used to use that
Right.
form, we modified it a little bit because they gave it out to anybody who wanted it, and so we do the kind of the same thing. It's even in the back of my book. I mean, I include it in the back of the book, so if somebody's creating a team, they have something they can go by.
Yeah.
And there's some people say, oh, I don't think you should put this up there because you're asking people too many personal questions. Well, to help them, you need those things. You need some personal information from them, and we keep it confidential between us and them. But to really be able to help them and find out what's really going on, you need all this information. And some of it's very personal, and it's about any medications they might be taking, as well as what they're experiencing, as well as do they have any history of mental illness or any history of all these different things. Because it can add up to the reasons they might be experiencing something paranormal too, right? Because one thing I've found in all the cases we've ever done, in almost every single case, there's a mental part connected to why they're experiencing something paranormal, right? There's something they're going through or have been through that has been repressed. That goes back to abuse and different things like that. That is the reason they're experiencing these hauntings now. So, that's the reason we put that form out, and that's the only thing we require from people is that form. Be filled out and sent back. If you don't fill it out and send it back, we're not going to be able to come and help you because we don't charge anything, we don't do anything else, but we need that form in order to properly help you. And if you won't fill it out, then I can't drive 3 hours to come help you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And that
that's
makes
the only thing we're
perfect
asking
sense.
for. Yeah,
That
it's
makes
the only thing
perfect
we're
sense
asking.
because people don't realize that, it could be, like Harley, you were saying before too, about abilities that are suppressed. Now, say you're someone who has an awful lot of abilities. We had a lot of this in the family, and you could see it going through. I can look back now and see teenage girls that were going through things. You've got, in my case, we had a farmhouse, and it was like at least 5 teenage girls living there at once. So if I had filled out a form and said, the first thing you're going to think is, woohoo! You know what I'm saying? This is probably you guys. Just, throwing dishes and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's true. It's so true. And in the first time, you can hear somebody who's like, okay, well, my remote control went across the room. I have a demon. Please, people, stop. Because you have no idea what you have, and it could have been you. It could be you without even realizing. Because if you have those abilities and you suppressing them, they're going to find a way out. It's energy. They're going to find a way out. And I think a lot of cases that you guys have probably been on, that's probably come to pass. Or you've got an alcoholic in the house that's abusive and causing, more emotion to come out and things like that. The living definitely have an effect on the dead and vice versa.
Absolutely.
I believe.
Yep. And Carly could tell you an example of something that happened to her at work one time.
Please do, sweetie.
Talking about kinetic ability.
She's like, she loves being put on the spot, guys. She does.
She hates it, but I know she wants to tell it.
Yeah, tell it.
So at the time too, they knew that I had been into paranormal investigating too. So this was great. So I was at a time in my life where it was like the tail end of the abuse, and something had happened where I felt very betrayed and very angry, and I was like, how could they? Like, just how could they? So I work as a scrub tech in the OR. So that means I scrub in surgery, and I get all the equipment ready and all the instruments, and I pass instruments during the surgery. So I'm standing there, and I'm scrubbed in, I'm sterile, I'm at my table. They're doing endoscopic carpal tunnel. So we have wires draped across my table. And this also has to go into science too, with energy and electricity and stuff. And we have this, I guess, like cart with all these like machines on it and a monitor so they can see the scope in the arm and stuff. And there's wires draped across my table, and I have my hands on my table, and I'm thinking, oh God, like how could they? Like I was so angry and so resentful at these people. All of a sudden, this thing is like 300 pounds. Like it's heavy. Starts scooting across the room on its own.
Oh wow.
Everyone's looking at it going, and it's not like it like shoved into the end of the room. Like it was like a gradual scooch. but nothing was touching it. There was no downhill, nothing.
Oh my.
And they're like all looking at me like, what the hell? Like, do we have a ghost? Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look at it and I go,
moving across the floor.
Wow.
and I verbally say, knock it off.
Right.
And it stops abruptly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And everyone's looking at me going, dude, you need to stop doing whatever you're doing. You're bringing it over here. And I'm like, no. And my friend, who's actually, she's very in tune with her abilities and she's like into the paranormal and stuff. She was watching the case because she was going to give me lunch. She came in and gave me a break. She's like, you need to go because I know you pushed that. She's like, I know that was you. So you need to go like take a break
and calm and
she's
chill.
like, you need to decompress. Like go have a cookie. Like,
and I think
okay right now, so.
that's amazing. And I think in a lot of cases that we've heard in the past, like that were familiar names like Enfield ghosts and, you know, things like that. I think a lot of those things, because the police were even standing in there going, the refrigerator was moving, you know, and there's these young girls, you know, this is absolutely fact, guys. This, you know, everybody in the chat, I'm sure paranormal investigators here in the chat have had this experience. We've had to go in and go, you know, your ghost is you. You know, and maybe we can give you some things, some ideas, or point you in a direction where you can kind of work with that a little and get that out. It could be, like we said, as simple as meditation that works for you. We could give you 15 kinds of meditation, but until you find the one that works for you, you're not going to do them. Now, do you guys do anything like that? Meditation what do you do to decompress after a situation? Go through. I mean, I've had Rob Guttrow on here, gave us wonderful ideas about eating chocolate. His whole team eats chocolate before they go in, and when they come out, do their protection prayers, and everybody has a turn to do their own and put their light in the circle, and then they all share chocolate, and then they go in because he says it raises their endorphins, and it's sweet and it's nice, and who doesn't like chocolate? And they do it again, salt baths, things like that. What are some of the things you guys do after an investigation?
I watch Curse of Oak Island. I like binge it. Yeah, well, you know, I sometimes that's what I'll do. I'll sit and I'll binge one of my favorite TV shows. Or something. It just makes me relax. So, but yeah, you take a shower. Carly will tell you how she takes her shower and what she envisions. And it really works well. I've tried it myself. So show them what you do for yours.
Yeah. So when I start my shower, I picture myself all in like black goop. And I take one of those loofahs and I put soap in it. And I'll envision white light coming from my hand surrounding the loofah. And it takes a while to get this down. And I have ADHD, so this is hard to do, but you can do it. So you like scrub your whole body and picture you scrubbing the black goop off. And you have to get everywhere. And then you picture the water rinsing the goop down the drain. And then afterwards, I picture white light coming from the shower and re-energizing myself and, you know, replacing where that black goop was with white light.
Beautiful.
And
all the negativity is going right down the drain, baby. And you can almost visualize it. And, you know, when I give that one to men a lot because I think it's so easy for men. You're in the shower anyway. It's so simple to do. Even just putting your hands, if you can't get as deep as Carly got, because that's like advanced paranormal showering, I guess. But I tell them basically just put your hands, do nice warm water, and just imagine, close your eyes, imagine the water being the golden light and coming down over your head and going down and everything, and just repeat something simple like, only positive can remain, all negative has to leave. Because just like in your show, in the episode, in the Paranormal Survivor, Carly, you emphasized, so I know it was an important part of the story that you wanted to have in there, that being adamant about your space and what you will and will not put up with. I know you had to do it a lot longer than they portrayed in the show, of course. It's maintenance. It's a maintenance kind of thing. You don't do it once and done. It takes a
long time to be able to do that too, because you have to feel okay to do that. And some people don't feel like they deserve to have boundaries, and that's very hard to tell yourself. You know, like, it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to have limits. Like, that's who we are. Like, don't let people disrespect your limits just because they can take advantage of that. Don't let them.
What a great point. That's
know?
absolutely it. The way you said that, it really clicked, because there are people that don't think that they deserve to be happy or
Right.
deserve to have that space. And I think if that's where you're at, Jack, that's probably why you're being attacked and everything else. You're an easy target there.
It is. It makes you an easier target, and that is what happens with a lot of abused people, because they are being abused. They are put down. They are knocked down. That you don't deserve to be happy. You only deserve what I let you have, and that's what they believe, and it's so drilled into their heads over years. It's hard to break. I mean, it is hard to break, and we can't help them break that. We have to tell them, look, you need to go see somebody professional.
Correct.
Because they'll always tell you, oh, no, I dealt with it myself. No, you didn't. All you did was bury it inside.
Right.
And guess what? That's attracting all this negativity to you. That's negativity. And that's why occasionally you'll have bouts of wondering why you're just crying or why you're just so angry and why you're for no good reason. Well, it's because you're keeping all that buried inside you. Because we'll have long conversations with them about it. It's like, have you ever gone to see somebody professionally about, oh, no, I wouldn't. You have to, because they have to help you be able to work through all this.
I feel so bad
work
for
it out.
I feel so bad for him, because some days I'll just be like so sad, and I'm just like, and I'm like, I need to go text my therapist.
Yeah, just to get out, because you know what, it comes, I've done a lot of help with basically survivors of rape and young children and things. I've done help with hardened veterans of PTSD, abused people in every different kind of form that you can think of. And it's the same anywhere, whether it's a young child who's just trying to learn, to come back into life, is, hey, I'm not all the things they called me. I'm not that, the person that's still trying to get that approval of somebody that, doesn't even deserve for somebody to try, It's always that kind of stuff, unachievable thing that they go for, and then they think learn less than because they can't achieve that. You have to be able to stand in your square foot of real estate and say, I'm good enough. I might not like who I am right now, but I'm going to do this and this and this and this, whether it's a job or your life or anything. Don't let anybody put you in a spot and tell you can't, because and don't tell yourself you can't, because I honestly believe that's a self-curse. When you say, I can't,
it's a good way of looking at it. Yeah,
you just blocking yourself. You've already slammed the door before you ever saw was he on the other side or stepped through or tried. So give yourself that, maybe baby steps in that, I deserve to have this, As a mom, I'll tell you a little funny thing about it, though. It's almost, when moms do it, it's a little different, because once you have a kid, it's like they're first, always. That's just the way we are. So moms eat all the broken cookies at Christmas. You know what I mean? They give all the nice looking, the pretty cookies to the kids and the company. Moms eat the broken cookies. And one day, I know this sounds so funny, but it was just this week, and I was just trying to do stuff, and everything was running around, the chaos and things in life. I ate the good cookie, and it was wonderful. And everybody deserves to eat the good cookie every now and then.
That's right.
Sounds silly, but you'll remember that.
Yeah, you will. That's one of those things. It's a good analogy. It's a good analogy. Yeah. Because it is true. You deserve to have the good cookie once in a while. Maybe not all the time, but
everybody has to have a turn. But
that's true. And
there's a difference between taking the good cookie for yourself and making other people feel bad for not letting you have the good cookie.
Yeah.
Also true. It's also true. And that's, it's simple little things like that, that's why, motivational, bumper stickers and things work, it's just little things that spot us through. But if you have little connections of light like that, eventually the light all starts to come together, and it's so bright and it's so that it just doesn't go out anymore. And that's you. You get all the credit for that. You and whatever your source is, that source of light for you, like you said, whether it be divine or you're connected to Mars, I don't care, as long as it's light, and it's good for you, and it's something positive. Absolutely. Don't go digging in the dark places to get out of a dark place.
Right.
You got to go to the light.
You're just going to dig it deeper into it. Yeah. Yeah. We talk a little about this in the classes and stuff I give too. So, we touch on it. We don't delve deep into it, but we do discuss it, because a lot of these people want to learn how to work with clients, work with other people, residential cases. So we'd have to talk to them about it and say, look, this is what you could be dealing with. This is why this 12-page form. This is why,
Right.
all this other information and why you need it. And if they won't give it to you, you really can't help them anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jackie. Absolutely true. And that's a lot of people are, like I said in the beginning, I absolutely love this chat because somebody will have a question in the chat and everybody jumps in and tries to help that person find a direction or find a way or just some encouragement. And I think that this, the whole way that we can reach out to each other, just like we're doing tonight, and then put it out there in the universe and let the spirit guides and the spirits, like their people, get with their people and connect them in things in the synchronicities. I think are awesome in stuff like this because it's like, gosh, I just heard that when I needed to, or they're talking to me. We never know when we say these things who is going to listen. I still get stuff from 5 years ago that somebody listened to a couple of days and said, oh my gosh, that helped me get over like the grief of a dog, a loss of a loved one or something like that. And that's why we do this, guy. That's why Carly dug down into her darkest memories to try to bring them forward so you could watch it and you could, listen and try to find your way out. And it's not easy for people to come out and tell these things. Like when I wrote the book, I had to really dig down. And like you said, Jack, when I was pulling up these things, other stuff started to come up with it. And I'm like, I'm remembering things because I'm putting it out there. And that's what happens when things like that, like an abuse or could be a car accident, for Pete's sake. It doesn't have to have somebody else involved. Same thing, right, Carly? Oh, yeah. I mean, it just starts unpeeling, and it's almost, somebody told me one time, it's almost like your mind will allow you when your mind thinks you can handle it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's a healing process, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's true. Actually, it just happened not too long ago with me when I told my origin story on one of the shows. What was it? Paranormal Nightmare or something like that. Anyways, so our house media contacted me to tell my origin story, and I had only remembered it 2 weeks earlier. This is how buried it was from back when I was 17 years old.
Wow.
And then what woke it up was, believe it or not, I'm watching Zach Bagans' The Demon House, his documentary he did.
Oh, wow.
And he talks about this thing that he saw in his dream, right? This demon he saw in his dream. Uh-huh. That was exactly what I saw when I was 17. That came for me. And it didn't get me, obviously. I'm still here. But
it peeled back the Band-Aid that you reminded to put on it. That
one image just brought back that whole... As a matter of fact, when it first came on, I'm watching it. Listen, I had to shut the show off. I couldn't deal with it. That was only early on in the show. I did finally go back and watch the rest of it, and I found it very interesting. But when I first saw this demon he described, it just freaked me out, and I had to shut the show off. And it all flooded back about what I went through and why I blocked it. And it had to do with all the paranormal stuff. And something, I believe, Angela came during that moment where this thing was coming after me and said, it's okay, you have things to do. And then this thing screamed and it just disappeared. And then I just jumped up, whether I was dreaming or I think I was an out-of-body experience, actually. And I just jumped up here, sweating profusely and stuff like that. And it's like, what the hell? And I decided I don't want anything to do with this stuff anymore. And I got out of it completely. I even forgot all about it. That's how much I buried it.
It
and
happens
I
to so many
on
just
other
like that.
things in life. I focused on my friends, going to school, going to college, my career, hunting, fishing. I did all that. And wasn't until Ghost Hunters came back on that I got back into the paranormal stuff. But I had still forgotten all about that experience. I think if I had remembered it, I wouldn't have got back into it.
But I think anything traumatic really is anything that initiates the fight or flight response.
Right.
And that's something that happens with people with repeated trauma. So like say like repeated car accidents or something like that is your fight or flight response gets off whack. And it's just like, this is just going to be our normal for now because this is, it's our best chance of survival. So sometimes people can you got to work out of that. But it could be something as simple as a car accident, or like something
Yes.
just to trigger the fight or flight response, you know?
Right.
Absolutely. With me, it was my cat ran out into the snow, and I just know about animals, and I know if this was so long ago.
Right.
But I knew that if he got out into the snow, he's older, and he would lose his way because they can't smell. You know, I didn't want him to take off and then, you know, go. So I ran out in the snow in bare feet. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, just that visual of my my feet being in snow, I remembered something had happened to me in the past. It all came back, and I mean, in a wave, like,
Yeah.
you know, and it was traumatic. And
Right.
I had to work through all that. And I'm, gosh, did that happen? Yes, it happened. And I mean, at one point in time, I had a scar that I got from that, and I couldn't even. I was looking at the scar, I couldn't remember.
Right.
Until that moment. But it was when I was much stronger, and I could handle it, and I could unpack it and go, okay, and deal with it. And I just think that the mind and whoever's got the wheel to this universe and the rule book, whatever it may be, really know what they're doing, because
Kudos to them, man.
because it's amazing, you know, how complex and how simple we are at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, and then you throw in the paranormal and the supernatural, which is basically just natural. It's just, you know, super, but we're just dealing with it, you know, and it's amazing how we can. So taking all of that into one great big ball, you know, it's okay if that happens. Please get someone you can talk to that you can trust, that knows what they're doing. And I think it's very important, like you guys said too, the form that helps you understand. Well, you know, you're on 19 medications. 5 of them can cause, you know, hallucinations. Could that be it, you know? Or it could be there really is a ghost living in their freezer and it's not the medication. But you guys need all the tools that you can get to help you unravel that. I always kind of look at some cases like a big basket of different colored balls of yarn that kittens have been playing in. You guys, you got to go in and unravel that and go, wait a minute, this is part of that.
That's
and
right.
people don't understand why it can't be done in like 45 minutes.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's the frustrating part.
Yeah, they think it's like a TV show. Okay, we done. You can do anything. Figure it out in 45. You know, the TV shows don't figure it out in 45 minutes.
Nope.
They're there for days.
Absolutely
They're there for days. You know?
Anyone who like looks at a location and is like, I know exactly what's going on here.
Absolutely.
No,
No.
Yeah.
Because the things that get me, and I know these are just bugaboos for you guys too. With me, I'm like, okay, ghosts aren't pets. You know my thing. It's like, you know, I go in and I try to help, you know, the situation. I'm more interested, I hate to say it, but I'm more interested in the ghost when it's going through than the living. I figured the living still got time to work through their stuff, you know, but that's my approach to it. But, you know, it's the ones that say, okay, well, you know, Sally died of cholera back in 1820, so we, you know, we have dolls for her and everything like that, and that's her, and this is what happened. And isn't it wonderful that we have that? She's like one of the, you know, she's like one of the family and all that. And, you know, and you get people in there that go in and figure all this out that have multiple different talents and multiple different you know, specialties in tech, or whether it be, you know, with equipment, or it takes a group. It really does in a lot of ways. And sometimes it just depends. But they look at him and go, that's not Sally. Sally's not here. This is something else that you think is Sally, and, you know, this kind of deal. Hey, you have cases like that where people have just, you know, this is our house ghost, and, well, it's a little out of hand, and just went in there and found it was a lot more than they thought were going on. And what do you think about that?
I find that to be a lot of the time the true case is not what you really think it is.
Right.
And Carly and I got invited to go to a place one time where they were being told that up in this one location was this horrible man who had raped all these women in this one location and stuff like that. And it was a fairly well-known historical site, and it had been a farmhouse and stuff at one time. And there had been a caretaker there who, you know, his job was to take care of the place. And that's who they were saying was this guy had raped all these girls up there and all this. And people were being scratched every time they went up there and started accusing him, you know, calling him out for it and stuff like that. But Carly, tell them what we were able to figure out.
Yeah, so we ended up going in respectfully, and we got a completely different response. Actually, what ended up happening was he was, I think, one of the servants there for the family.
Yeah, it was like
right?
one of
And
the
he
caretaker
he
guys.
would go from the
Servants.
barn, that like little cooking area, to the house and deliver food and back and forth. And so the cool thing was, to validate all of this response, was that a common thing they would do back in those days is they would whistle to let them know when the food was ready and stuff like that. And at the end of that whole experience, when we got all those answers of, yes, I didn't murder those people, thank you for letting me
I
tell
didn't
my
rape
story,
women,
I didn't rape
do
I
any
didn't
of that.
rape women, and people were saying like crazy things, and they
Horrible
were getting
stuff.
scratched. And so
Right.
we ended up hearing a whistle at the end of it
Yeah.
to validate everybody in there. I think there was like 4 people in that room
Yeah,
with
yeah,
us.
no, 5
So
actually. Yeah.
everybody.
But what we found out was the reason people were being scratched and being pushed, and because they were going in just making accusations about
Yeah.
this, and he was angry.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you say those things? I didn't
And I
do
don't blame
those.
him.
You know,
And I don't
and so he
blame
was
him.
acting out because he was angry. And you're talking about somebody who wasn't necessarily a well-educated individual. They were a servant for somebody, but how are they going to act out? They're going to act out in anger, right?
Right.
I mean,
And with
they're going to
whatever
take, they're
ability
going to
that they may
scratch,
have.
they're going to push,
Yeah.
they're going to, because you walk in there immediately, you're a horrible person. How dare you,
Oh my
you
gosh.
rape all these girls and kill these people and blah, 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 blah. How
And-
dare you do all this? And, we're going to make sure you get yours. And how's somebody going to react?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing
You know?
is that like when you're walking into a location or a building, you have to understand that you're, in a sense, you might be trespassing on their personal space.
Yeah.
So you really need to treat it with respect. So
Absolutely.
like we always knock on the doors. We introduce ourselves. We say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm so and so. I'm going to be
Mhm.
coming in. Thank you so much for talking or letting me in. I'd really appreciate it if you'd talk to me. If not, that's
Mhm.
okay. But I have all these devices here." But these people would just barge right on in. They'd go, "I heard you raped all these women and like murdered these people and blah blah blah, and like
Yeah.
that's horrible. How could you do that?" Not even giving them a chance to talk. First of all,
Right.
you didn't even introduce yourself.
Mhm.
And
You
they're
can ask
like,
them what
"Oh,
happened just because somebody else said that's what happened at one time.
And like when
Exactly.
the thing is, when you're an investigator,
No evidence, no proof of it. They just said that's what happened.
yeah, when you're an investigator, it's a big responsibility because you're an advocate for those that can't talk. You're the person that initiates communication, and you're the one responsible for maintaining the respect and making sure that the correct information's coming across. And like it's a huge pet peeve of mine when you disrespect spirits because they're not able to defend themselves.
Yeah.
And when they do, it's wrong,
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a dog in a sense, how like dogs, when they defend themselves or their owners, they bite, and then people
And
get
then
all
the owner
upset.
blames the dog.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What a great
Yeah.
way to put it.
Yeah.
And Donnie, you're not allowed to be a ghost, honey. We're going to make sure that you're not a ghost. By the time you're done with this show, you will have graduated How Not to Be a Ghost 101, and you're going to go right over where you're supposed to go. Wherever it is you're supposed to go,
But
you're going to go.
he makes a good point.
He does make a good point.
Yeah, that's how that ghost was reacting, out of anger.
But that's it too, and this is another thing. That's when people make the generalizations. Now, as what you were saying, I'm not a big believer in the provoking. If somebody on their team wants to do that, I'm not telling them what to do. I'm talking about my opinion. And I have gone, with Dave and Jim. I don't go with a lot of different paranormal groups. It's just I'm all over the place. I go where I wind up sometimes. I never plan these things. It just happens.
Right.
And, when you're in with... the intent is everything. And just like you guys said, we ask permission to come in, we knock on the door, we treat it like we're going to visit somebody. We don't even know what this ghost vantage point is. How many ghosts are in there, what they're seeing, do they see us, do they hear us, what do we look like to them?
Yeah.
All of this. I mean, I've gotten on... I totally understand what you're saying because I go onto the, onto the wheat field or whatever, and we were getting some activity. First thing I did after I introduced myself was I'm trying to think beforehand, who am I speaking to? What was their time like? How did they speak? I try not to use slang. I try to use words that they would understand just out of respect and, I apologize for wearing pants. Because if you think about it, these guys were, they're looking at you crazy. But I think as you're doing that, you're also getting yourself and your emotions and your intent and your frequency or whatever you want to say all aligned, and they're picking up on this too. I think a lot of them are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. Of course, the ones that have been around, definitely the negative. I'm telling you guys, if there's something really negative, it knows you're coming before you do. I mean, that's just in some cases. But, human spirits, we have to understand that they were human. What were they going through?
Right.
Famous case, Toys R Us. We were just talking about this the other day with Yanni. Yanni Jansson is how you'd say it. He was a Swedish guy. This is going way back, and he fell in love with the owner of the property's young daughter who didn't even know he was alive, and he just had a mental thing where he thought one day if he just worked hard enough she would notice him. Poor guy got upset when he found out she's getting married. Chopping wood, angry, cut his leg, died of sepsis more than likely. Now he's in a Toys R Us and doesn't know it. This is what's haunting the Toys R Us. And it took a whole team to unravel over time, a little at a time, and get him to understand that, he was worried. And they eventually got him to move on, but he wasn't even seeing the Toys R Us.
Right.
He was
they're seeing their own time frame.
Yeah, and that's amazing. That's something else to think about. These people that go busting in the doors, and it's like you just said, we hear you're in here hurting, we don't like women and all this other stuff. Well, take me on. First of all, how many cases have you had to go on to get whatever jumped on him off?
Not too many, but they're there.
But it happens. It happens, right?
It does happen. Yes, it does definitely happen.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, Gray Wolf. Spirit needs validation just like we do. I love that. That's beautifully said, Gray. Yep. But that's true. And I think they also need, in some cases, respect. I mean, of course, every case is different. And if you have just belligerent ghosts that you just are like, look, the homeowners don't want you here. This isn't your home anymore. They came from a car accident a couple miles away, whatever it may be. How do you go about, and what do you think about when people say, my house can't be haunted, it's brand new, and go.
The location can.
What was there before your house was there?
Right.
There's a million questions you ask. All right, what did is anybody doing something in your house now?
Exactly.
Did you go on a ghost hunt? Is somebody, one of your kids, using a Ouija board that you don't know about?
Do you have trauma?
You have trauma. Something happened to you when you were a kid. It can come along with you.
And you also said it could be bloodline thing. That's a big thing where something, is carried over, in time.
It goes back to that 12-page form we haven't filled out. Yeah,
it's
has a ton of stuff,
Right, but that really helps you guys zero in on what you need to do. It gives you an idea. I mean, people think that too. When paranormal investigation groups, good ones, come in, it takes a lot. You're talking about 4, 5, 6 people gathering equipment. Sometimes it might be 2 or 3. But everybody having to get together. They're not charging you gas, everything else, taking time from there. At least you can do is cooperate with what they need and take out everything in your head that you've seen on paranormal shows where it's not going to be 45 minutes with commercials. No. It's going to maybe be a long unpacking, maybe multiple things. And at the same time, you've got paranormal groups going in or somebody going in trying to get information on whatever equipment. And the ghosts are sitting there going, don't talk to them.
Yeah.
Don't say anything.
That's
and
right.
they go, your house isn't haunted. I didn't get anything. It's not haunted.
Yeah.
You can't do that either.
That's
correct.
And you got to realize that too, that's when you go in, that's not just because you didn't get anything right away doesn't mean it's true. They'll tell people, especially ones that are going through our course, it's not one night. You could have to go back several times.
So true.
It could take months to figure this out.
We actually have had cases last for a year.
Yeah, that was a demonic case, but that's...
no, like even with...
true. Yeah, that's true too. What you call it? That one case. Yeah, I can't remember it now. But you know what the one I'm talking about. Yeah, it took us a while to figure out exactly what was going on there. Because there was actually multiple things going on. So, and again, it had to do with trauma from the person's past, as well as some things they had done to try to make their life better, go in the wrong direction, as well as, just stuff that was going on around the location, So there was a lot happening.
The spirits have to trust you too,
Yeah, and you got to earn their trust.
Yeah, and you don't know what you're dealing with either. I mean,
No.
what I mean by that is, let me kind of clarify a little bit. What if, like in Yanni's case, which is why I bring it, because there's so many different things we could learn off of that. There was obviously some kind of mental deficit there. We don't know.
Right.
But for somebody who was in his position, he's a farmhand hired by this woman's, family. It was that whole great big plantation thing where the girl of the house didn't even know this guy was alive, really.
Right.
And he just fantasized this whole thing. Well, obviously there's a mental thing there. Now, you've got to break that down. He died, obviously, with a fever. We don't know how he went out. What mental state is he in now? What if they were just full-blown schizophrenic crazy? Now you've got a ghost that has no idea. They're extremely agitated, probably fragmented all over the place.
Yeah.
There's so many different kinds. And I bring that up to say, a lot of times over the years, I've heard people say, oh, ghosts can't do that. And I'm like, woo, that's a broad brush.
Yeah.
How can you... You can't say.
If you're dealing with a human spirit, they were who they were, right?
Exactly.
That's us without a body.
It's who you really are. It's your soul. We're talking about this human soul.
The only difference is just the
which is
flesh.
who you really are, which
That's
is what makes you who you are. Right? This does not make you who you are. It's what's in here, your actual soul, what you want to call the soul. Right? That's your memories, your thoughts, your how you live your life, all that stuff.
And the essence of everything.
The essence of who you are, and that's what we're talking about when we're talking about a spirit or a ghost or whatever you want to call it. And that's who they are. If they were mentally ill, guess what? They still are, right? So which can come across as something really negative. And in a way, maybe they are, because they may have been a very negative, very hateful individual in life because of their mental illness, right? And they're still going to be that way. So you're dealing with that. You've got to deal with that. You're not going to obviously cure them of that, but you've got to get through that and figure out, why is this individual here, and what's their intent? What are they trying to accomplish here? What do they still think they're here for? So and then you've got to work around that. Right. And you got to work with that to try to get them to move on if you can, or at least stay to their own little space and not bother anybody else, because what you think is going on isn't anymore. It's been 100 years since you lived. You have to come to terms with that, and with somebody with mental illness, they may not be able to. Right. So how do you deal with that then? How do you get the family to deal with that or resolve that?
It's so tough. It's so much deeper than
It can get messy, and it can take a long time to sort through.
You bet. And in some cases like that, you just have to get. One funny one I tell is, like, they come in and they tried to clear. Okay, we have that kind of a situation, not the mental illness, but the person that was going in there was just trying to get whatever this was out of the kids' room. So a medium went over there and did some saging, cleansed the house and everything else. The father calls the next night, calls back, well, it didn't work. Why? Well, he's outside looking in the window. But I got him out of the room.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? It's like push. But, that's the thing, too. And it's like, it's not, I tell people, they kind of got to remember to, if you've got something, invest in. If you were going to go to a doctor, maybe some people don't window shop for doctors anymore. I don't know. Or go into a dentist or something like that. If I don't like someone, I'm getting out of the chair. You're fired. I'm getting somebody else. I have no problem doing that. Right. But in the case of having someone come in to help in your home with probably this multi-layered connection thing, whether it's with the kids and the pets and the whole thing, you really have to do a little. On the other side, they have to do some investigation into groups. What do you suggest for somebody that's looking for a good group to bring into your home to try to come in and help this situation? What would be a good route to go?
Well, I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, they don't know where to start, right? So maybe they just reach out to somebody like you or me or whatever. Somebody I've seen that person on TV, or I know from somebody else that they're really good. and they can touch base with you. And if you're available, fine. If you're not, if you're too far away or whatever, sometimes we can recommend somebody to them. But in the end, it's just like hiring anybody else. You got to find the right fit, right? You got to be able to get along with that person, you know. So it unfortunately, at least not that I'm aware of. I don't think there's any place that rates paranormal investigators.
It's hard. It's hard because that's the thing.
In your local area, you know.
I had a case. Well, not a case, but I had a case that people asked me my opinion on, and the whole thing had basically been, it was probably had the most amazing evidence I've ever seen. Yeah. You know, of course nowadays. You know, I saw Godzilla destroy New York not too long ago on TV. You know, anything can be, but I felt this one was real. I felt the reaction of the mother of the two, single mom, 2 young boys. Yeah. All of this was real. But they had a couple people come in and it actually just got worse. So she basically moved and left. Yeah. And I'm thinking, there was so much evidence there. I believe it was a situation very much like we were talking about earlier, where there was an older woman that was kind of protecting the kids from something worse, trying to hold it off. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting. But because they were treated the way they were treated, and people came in and basically did what you guys said, just being rude and belligerent and, things like that. And everything got worse, and she just panicked and left. Now, this woman, lost her money and, all kinds of things happen. It's no small thing. To go in to do something like that. And I believe that anybody that's really serious about doing this, whether you're doing it to help, whether you're doing it out of curiosity or just, plain amazement, and it's just a wonderment and you're trying to learn, please understand that, it can cause damage. You're not just hurting the living and you're hurting, the dead too. Now, how much longer before somebody gets help for that?
Yeah, exactly. These people are, whether it's the living or the dead, they're all looking for help, right? I mean, realistically, most spirits are really just looking for somebody to listen to them. Or they have their own agenda of whatever it is they're trying to get across. They could be frustrated, they could be angry, they could be whatever about something that's going on. And you've got to try to get through that part of it too. So you don't just go in and assume it's a demon in the house and try to exorcise it, right? That's the worst thing you could ever do, right? But there is people that do that. It's like I saw on TV. It's a demon, So we got to exorcise that out of the house. Number one, do you even know how to do an exorcism? Oh, I saw it on TV. I saw how they do it. No.
Stop it. Stop now.
It's not the real thing. That's not how it really works.
No, it isn't.
I mean, so you've got to get through all that, and you've got to really try to figure it out. And for the homeowner to try to find somebody, the best thing I would say to do is actually go online and reach out to one of these more well-known people like myself or somebody else who is on TV. You're probably not going to get us, but we probably know somebody who can really help you.
Yes,
right?
And it's more compartmentalized.
Here's where I live. Can you recommend somebody to me? I think a lot of times, most of us will have time to do that for you and say, hey, yeah, I know so-and-so who's in your area and they're very good at what they do and they should be able to help you.
And most good ones are going to do what you guys do. They're going to vet a little. They're going to ask the hard questions. Is anybody going through an addiction? Is there anybody on medications? Is there any, mental abuse or whatever it may be? Right. All of these things, because those things, common, let's just say ailments, to use an old word, like sleepwalking might be normal, but somebody else is thinking it's paranormal. This is something big that's coming up, I've noticed in the past couple of months on YouTube, where people are making these, paranormal activity videos, and it's like, I woke up and I stared at a wall for like 4 hours or whatever, and I got it, it's on CC tape, and now it's all, so it makes... It really is like anything else. You have to use discernment. You have to use common sense, your moral compass, what's right, what's wrong, what feels right. But if people need help, what Jack and Carly are saying is absolutely true. You reach out to somebody. I get it all the time. And you know what it is? It's a lot of other podcasters and show hosts and paranormal groups and things like that reach out and go, hey, I'm in North Carolina, but I got somebody over in Texas. They've gone through all the things. I've had a couple of I'm smart. I'm sending some remote viewers in there, and then they'll call me and tell me, yeah, well, there's been several people in there. They just keep calling it back. And I've heard you guys talk about that. I wondered if you could explain a little bit about that, where you go in and you finally get everything gone and cleared out, and then what happens? They want attention. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is upkeep, pretty much to make sure that their emotional state and like their well-being is, because it's more than just like getting rid of a spirit. You also have to do a lifestyle change most of the time. So that includes whether it be like treating yourself better or like going to go see a therapist. So you really have to like check in to see how they're doing mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and also help them from reverting back to the old ways, because sometimes what happens is, oh, the problem's fixed, well, I can go back to what I was doing before. No. It is a permanent change, because what you were doing before is what was attracting the things to begin with. So
so true.
It's a lot of kind of just upkeep and encouragement to keep doing what they're doing.
Well,
And
there is also some people who just they like being the victim.
they do like being the victim, and
Absolutely
so
true,
they won't do what we ask them to do, and they won't change, and they keep wanting to be the victim and dragging everything back in.
And have you come back and just fix it for them all the time. And we'll deal with that for a while. I mean, we tried to help somebody like that for a year, and they said, look, you're not doing anything we're suggesting, so don't call us anymore, we're not coming back.
We got to use our time to help somebody.
I have other people I have to help, and I can't put all my time on you. We've been working with you for almost a year, and you're still not doing the things we recommend for you to do. They didn't go to counseling. They kept, oh, I'm going to go. Oh, I made plans. Oh, I didn't go. Oh, then they'll call you in the middle of the night. The thing's attacking me again. I need you to help me, and blah, blah, blah. I can't keep doing this forever. I'm sorry. Sorry.
And I don't blame you. There should be a cutoff point at that point. When you give people a thing, it's almost like you need three different groups. You need the first group to go in and discern whether it's, bats in your belfry or rats in your cellar or what, all this different stuff, the plumbing and all that. And I love the shows that do at least portray that sometimes that's just needed things. That shouldn't be up to the paranormal investigators. That should be up to the homeowner and say, look, have you gone through these steps? Because you could have raccoons in your closet. Who knows?
Right. Exactly,
could be anything. Because
Mice in
any
the walls.
little sound, it could be any little sound, and right away people, I think that's where, I don't want to blame paranormal shows or TV shows or anything like that, because at this point in time, if you're an adult and you're looking at television shows that are showing you that, and right away you think that because you had a scratch on the wall or whatever it may be, or the light flicked on and off, it could be a fuse, it could be a bad light bulb, it could be bad wiring. All those things need to be checked. Excuse me, before you have a whole team coming in, taking time from there. It's no easy task to do. Just plugging stuff in and taping stuff down. It's not easy. Excuse me one second. I've got a cough.
Take your time.
I think I may.
And she's gone, people. There we go. We exercised her.
Oh no.
No, we didn't exercise her. She'll be back in a minute.
You know how you try not to cough and all you can do is cough?
Yeah.
I couldn't stop it. But that's the thing too. I actually called up somebody we all know and love. I won't say his name now, but we believe me. And I said, listen, I've got somebody, I've tried to run it through my vetting, but I can't, I've only got so many abilities, and they're like, and just my discernment and intuition. And I didn't say the name, I didn't say anything else, but this person had the ability to pick up what I was. He said, there's nothing anybody can do. He's going to continuously call it back. Yeah. He's addicted to the attention. Yes, I call it like paranormal Munchausen. Yes, because they just want that. Yeah. That's right. That whole thing, but, throughout that, I can't believe we've been in here talking for an hour and a half. This time has flew. Amazing. And I hope you guys will come back. I don't want to let you go just yet because I got 2 more questions maybe. But again, if you have questions and you want to ask questions from Jack and Carly, I think we can take a couple. Make them good ones. This is such a smart chat. They're so intelligent and they really know about this stuff. So many people like Grey Wolf Paranormal, and we've got Creepy Unseen. We've got all kinds of different paranormal groups in here. And again, I think we all can learn from each other. And I think that's one of the things that came through in the past 20 years. Where, when we were growing up, we had these, just these little shows. We had books. You couldn't really talk about it. And now it seems like it's everywhere. It's almost like too much information. And now we have to discern through.
Yeah, what's good information and what isn't, right?
That's simple. And, it's almost like, again, I can tell you after, I think I'm going to, oh my God, I'm going to be 60 next week. Oh, now that's scary.
Happy early birthday.
That's scary. Thank you. I just realized that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I put it off so much. I've been saying I was going to be 60.
Trying to catch up to you. I just turned 59. I'm trying to catch up to
Did you? Yeah. I'll wait. Come on, you can wait. But I've been saying that for, what I did was I did something really tricky. Since I was like around 54, I just said, well, I'm 60. Because I kept saying it till I got used to it. So when I finally hit it, it would be a surprise, and it was. It's so funny. But anyway, it doesn't hurt as much if you've been practicing at it for. Thank you so much, Donnie. Oh, he's got a question here. Hold on. It's first question. If you don't mind taking a couple for this chat, because they're so wonderful. And they just have so many cool stuff. Okay, here we go. Donnie says, what was your oddest case, guys? The oddest case.
Oddest? Jeez,
That's
a lot of those.
Yeah, right? Well, maybe one that surprised you. Maybe surprised you or made you change your thinking or, something like that.
I'm trying to think what... my thoughts on things have changed, obviously, over the years.
Oh, sure.
The oddest case I ever had... No, I don't know. I never thought of them that way. I mean, I never thought of them as any, because I guess in a way they're all odd. I mean, nothing is normal about them. For me, I would say this: the strangest case, oddest case, I guess in a way, was that one in Springfield, Mass, which is in the comic book.
Okay.
Because I say that because it's the only time I've ever had this happen. The whole team experienced everything the client had said he was experiencing. Everything.
Whoa.
I
now
never
that's
saw
unusual.
That before or since in a case. Wow. He said things would grab at his calves on his leg. I had that happen.
Wow.
He said he was seeing shadow figures. I saw the shadow figure. He said he'd hear people walking down his hallway. Two of our other investigators heard somebody walk down the hallway. Nobody's there. And we had cameras set up that caught that. The audio caught somebody coming through, walking through, and you can hear the girls in the room doing EVP sessions. Like, who's coming through the hallway? The cameras showed nothing. There was nobody else down there, Yeah. And so, but we experienced everything he said he experienced.
Wow. And that's highly unusual, folks. Really
it is extremely. But everything he said we experienced. And only one thing we could put to something that was normally happening was coming from the washing machine. Everything else we could not explain. It was all
That's
paranormal.
Incredible and very rare. I mean, just to go in there, because it's almost like, something can happen and then it'll never happen again. Or a family, another thing that I, think about a lot in this stuff when I hear it, it's basically... house was very, very haunted. Those people move out. Next family moves in. Nothing happens. Right. And I tell people can be haunted too. I mean, you could bring it with, or how does a paranormal investigator know that when they go to a house and they're getting an EVP, that it just didn't follow him and that's your ghost that just followed you from, your stuff? It could very well be. It's not, these are the first two that's going to tell you that there's no set answers to this. There's some things that work, science and supernatural and physics and just all of this stuff. It all comes in, and then you bring in the human factor, and then you have the dead and what they can do. And like I said earlier, people say, well, ghosts can't do that, or I love the one, ghosts can't hurt me. Well, they can't hurt me. They can make you hurt yourself. And I mean, for a while, I think that was kicking around, and it's just like, go back to 60s, 70s, everybody was saying that. And it's just, I think it can happen.
It can. I don't see it so much on a physical sense as on a mental sense.
Well said.
They can affect you mentally, that's for sure. Which can be just as even more traumatic than a physical harm.
Yes.
Mental pain is just as validated as physical pain.
Right. Amen, sister. So, absolutely true.
I think people mistake that a lot. Like when people need like mental health days, it's just as much as like your body getting sick. Like if your brain is sick, that's fine. You need to take a couple of days and rest.
Yeah.
So
we're fragile people. We're the strongest, most fragile, all at the same time. I think. I think we're incredible. We're capable of incredible things, but we're also capable of doing incredible harm to ourselves by, believing what others tell us instead of standing our own and learning who we are and accepting that, and knowing that everybody's got good and a little bit of that yin and yang thing going on. Here's another one. And Edna asks, is that what seems like a super active ghost? Did they get rid of the ghost in that case that you were experiencing everything?
Well, what was going on with that particular case is the guy he was having kidney failure. He was going through dialysis and stuff. He didn't really have a lot longer. So he was actually being reached out to from his family members who had passed. And they were really trying to get his attention. Because they felt he needed what we got from it. We brought in a psychic medium friend of ours, a very good one. They were trying to reach out so he could kind of change a few things before he passed over. But there's also something coming in from a local cemetery, which actually is a pauper cemetery. And he had been the thing of it is, he had been a nurse working at this one hospital nearby, which had been the original site of the almshouse, which was connected to this pauper cemetery. So he was there, he's a nurse trying to help people, right? And these other spirits were coming to him, I think, for help. So the activity he thought was demonic really was actually things trying to just reach out for his help and family members trying to help him. So in the end, the psychic medium did what she could to help him, but he didn't want to hear it. There's another one of these people that he wanted to believe it was demonic and evil, and so we suggest, well, go to your priest, keep going, have them come in, do a blessing on your home, things like that. So we did the best we could for him, but he was just at a state where he didn't want to believe anything we were trying to help him with. So,
and that's so
it was kind of sad in a way, but I think in the end it may have turned out okay.
Good.
I think for him in the end, at least, it probably turned around because he did like the idea that his grandmother was coming to him. He did accept that, at least anyway. So I think he began to focus on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that because he probably that love connection. I know it sounds, but boy, if you can get them just to whether it's the living to the ghost or the ghost to the living or ghost to ghost, ghost to ghost, whatever, it's that love. As soon as that starts coming in, the other dark stuff, the all that stuff starts to fall away. Sometimes very gradual, but it does, fall away when you start getting all that. The anxiety starts calming down and everything else. It's amazing. Lynn has one here. What was the most scary case?
Oh, I don't know.
I've never seen Jack scared. I'm honest. I've never seen Jack scared.
Scariest case was.
That was different, though.
It was her own.
Personable.
Yeah, her own.
Technically, was your case.
Yeah, I guess my scariest case was my own because I blocked it out. Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a case. I just blocked it out and ignored everything and wouldn't pay attention to anything else going on around me after that. It's like, oh, that's just this. Oh, this is that. It went on for years and years and years.
It's so amazing how the mind works, though. I often say, on that Native American side of mine, I had an elder tell me one time, about the journey and the road, basically less traveled by. It's like if it was so easy, we wouldn't care about anything, we wouldn't appreciate anything, that kind of stuff. But he basically said too that it's your mind will give you stuff, or the universe will give you stuff when you're ready to understand it. If you something happens and you don't understand it, just put it in your pocket. It's almost like a seed that grows with you, and when you're ready, it snaps into place, and you're all without even you trying. Donnie's got another. Thank you so much, Donnie. You don't have to. You can ask a question, sweetheart, but thank you very much. That's kind of you. Which famous actor would you choose to portray you in a reenactment of you? Jack has many actors doing reenactments. Which one would you choose?
My one guy I really like. What the heck was his name? Michael Coughlin. I think it's Coughlin. Michael Coughlin. That's the guy who played me on all the haunted case files shows.
Oh,
we call him Fake Jack.
Fake Jack. Yeah.
Yeah, we call him Fake Jack. He's an actor. He's been on a few different other shows.
He is good.
That.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't kind of picture now anybody else playing me, but I've seen other people play me for other shows. I still like him the best.
It's like him the best.
'Cause he looks better than me too.
Not possible.
He's got more hair, you know.
Yeah.
But
I always
he did a pretty good job of playing me, other than when he has to act it up a little bit. But even that, it's pretty good. If I had to pick a real famous person, I don't know who.
Sam Elliott.
Harrison Ford.
I got it.
Harrison Ford.
Oh wow, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I always loved Harrison Ford. I love Harrison. He's a little bit older than me now, but he looks as young as me. So
yeah. Oh, you never know, Jack. It could happen. It could happen. You're making, the movie of your life. That would be a good one, huh?
That'd be something. It ain't gonna happen, but that'd be good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Aunt Edna makes a good point here. When we were younger, everybody was brainwashed, either thinking that we were crazy or it's demonic, period. And that's the way we were told. And we still get that now. You know, people tell me, well, that wasn't your mother in your room, with all this other, my cat's purring, all this other stuff. All you feel is warmth and love and light and just all this stuff. Nope, it's a demon. Yeah. I'm like, maybe for you it is, but not for me.
Yeah. That's what they were taught. That's what they were. And actually, that's what the Catholic Church believed for many years. Is that, and there's no human spirits on the earth. Right. If you're experiencing that, it's a demon. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was what they believed for. I don't think they believe that anymore, but that's what they believed for a very long time.
They did for a very long time, and again, I don't know if now, but I'm hoping people with all these shows, and that's the one thing, I just absolutely love it when people reach out and do that. I mean, Jack, you've been doing it for a long time. Carly, you've gone through that, and then instead of putting it in a box and hiding it and just going, and you reached out, and it's helping people. It's helping people in this chat. We did it already. And every time, we don't know how many times it's going to help you put it out in the universe. But I just want to recommend again the Q&A on Tuesday night on the Facebook. Follow chat. Mods, if you could drop that link one more time, because here's where you can get a connection. If you've got somebody in your family or you have something going on, you want to ask them questions, that's the time to do it. It's a nice quick response. They spend time with you. You have people in the chat like here that are also, hey, that happened to me too, or I heard this happen here. We have books now. We have people and ways to reach out. And I think that together, which is, I think we're finally coming to that point. We went through when Ghost Hunters came on, and I absolutely understand why, Jason and them decided to do it that way. We're going to just do it scientifically and try to, that's what debunking. Beautiful. But I love now that we're coming on this end and we're bringing the feeling back. We're taking, intuition does still mean something and feeling does still mean something. And I think it takes like that whole group and everybody in it working together. And then they take that and they share. And there's a place, and you guys know what it is. And I'm so excited. Hoover House in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. Now, I'm telling you what, about 3 weeks before KSPS and the Berries and everybody got together, I call up Jim and I said, the house, I don't know what it is. I have to tell you this. This is the message I got about the house. It's going to be a portal of love and light for both the living and the dead. I said, what does this mean to you? And Jim was floored. Jim. Jim is his most integrity and honesty and the most loving group of people. Him, Mike Simpson, everybody. It's a great group of people, guys. I'm telling you. You got to come to the bash. And sure enough.
The dog.
Huh?
We can't forget Chucky the dog.
Oh yeah, that's true. But this home, and it almost seems like it was spirit driven. I think it's one of the things in my time that I've seen that has actually worked in that way. I think the spirits went out and found everybody. Now they're with the table tipping and everything else, and all the other things that go on there. Spirits actually show up to the bed and breakfast, the hotel, before the guests get there, and they're waiting in line to talk to the guests.
It's an interesting place. Yeah, it really is.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
Amazing. And it really does seem to have this protective, light and love and everything in it. And I'm hoping that you guys will tell me if you're going to go out there so we can go on the same day. I want to spend some time with you. I'm trying to do a lot of things to help them out. I'm getting like Rob Guthrie to go down there and try to do a thing where he can also do readings, and he's going to donate to the no-kill shelter. It's a wonderful community in town, and I think that place is just absolutely amazing. So I want to talk with you guys. If you're going to go there, please let me know so I can get a room, because I'd love to sit in a dark cellar with both of you.
I'll let you know, they bug us all the time. When are you going to come back down and just visit? When are you going to come back down to visit? Yeah.
I just want to sit on the porch and talk to you.
Yeah, we'll maybe back down in the spring. Yeah, we'll be back down to visit in the spring, because my son doesn't live too far from there either. He lives down in Alexandria way.
Well, that's wonderful.
Like, they just bought a new house, so we're going to be going down to visit them too. So I spend a long weekend. It's going to be when Carly's off from. She's got a new job coming up, so.
Yay! I heard.
She's got a part of a weekend up or something. So
right, you need to be good to yourself. Self-care, darling.
Oh, I know.
sitting on the porch with me, chatting is it's going to be nice. But I think that's going to be great, and I want all my dear people like this. I think experiencing that, it really is almost, after all this time of watching all this change over, I think that is one of the most the beautiful crescendos to this, because this is what I was searching for, to have that. I mean, I was there, I witnessed it, people that had their questions or whatever, mother coming across, and just absolutely kids get finally reaching out and finding love again and things like that. It's the most beautiful thing, and I think that can grow, and I think it is when people like you care enough to put your experiences down and do shows like the Q&A show and write the books and things like that. Mods, if you could drop that book link one more time to the .org, so people, if they didn't get it at the beginning, they can get it now, because it's fantastic. And the graphic novel is not just fun, it's beautifully put together, and it's an experience in and of itself. I'm so glad you chose to do it that way, Jack. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was something I kind of had always wanted to do.
So
and
cool.
Everything fell together. Everything fell together. It was the right story, the right person to do the artwork for it, and it all just came together.
We must be doing something right, baby, because everything's falling where it's supposed to, right?
Somebody guides me in the right direction.
Absolutely. So I just want to thank you so much for taking this time. I didn't mean to keep you here so long, but it seemed like we blinked and it was done. And I love you so much. Will you guys come back again soon?
Absolutely.
And because we're just like scratching the surface here, and the chat's absolutely loving you, and thank them for coming in, chat, and I thank you guys for being so kind to each other. And this is what it takes. This is where we're at, and I think it's beautiful, all these wonderful energies coming together to do something like this. And I think it's like we're really getting somewhere, you know what I mean? It's so cool. It's so cool that we're at this end of that. And with all the darkness out there, it's like Carly said in that episode. And if you guys would drop that, good, you just did that on Daily Motion. You can watch that episode, and I highly recommend it right after the show. But like you said in that, the light always finds a way, Carly, and I absolutely love you both. Thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having us.
We love you too, baby. I'm gonna let you go.
All right.
Love you back, darling. Good night. Bye. Awesome, guys. How cool was that? Oh my gosh. Did I tell you I have dear friends? And I'll tell you something else. You're my dear friends. I thank you so much. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get, too much with that, but it's such an opportunity to get both of them together. Dear sweet people. Jack's been in for so long, and really trying to strive in a way to put out what he knows, and help others. These are the kind of people I'm talking about. They're like you guys, and I know you are, because I see you in the chat. I see you reaching out and helping each other. The other night I was talking to another member, and I don't want to say in case they don't want anybody to know, but he said, experiencing this chat, it's magical. And he was 100% right. The magic can be in your life every day. It's up to you. Just like at Christmas when I wrote that thing, and I was talking all about, the Grinch and Scrooge and how we're accountable, and you can't sit around and wait for the magic. You got to kind of make it yourself sometimes. Okay, it was Donnie. He says he doesn't care. Donnie and I were talking. How long did we talk on the phone last night, Donnie? I don't know if he was trying to get away or what, but he would ask a question and 25 minutes later, I'd still be answering it. But we had an absolute blast. Everybody in here has got such great experiences and life experiences, not just paranormal. But if you notice how it all kind of connects in, life really does affect the dead, and the dead do really affect the living. And, a lot of people say, oh, you want to coexist. And I said, it has nothing to do with coexisting. It's going to be there whether you coexist or not. What it is understanding more. And if we can understand the dead a little more, and if we can understand that they're just human beings in need of help, whether they know it or not, just like Hans Holzer said, I've never been afraid of a ghost. They're just, people in need of help. But if we can understand that they're human beings and treat them that way, maybe we can treat each other while we're living a little bit better. Because if you notice what they're going through because of, little things that held them back, if we can learn how to get rid of that, and also these beautiful people that came on tonight, again, given 2 hours of their time, to come in and basically we didn't even scratch the surface, on all the different things. So I highly recommend, if you're interested in paranormal investigation, this book right here, I'm going to show you again, just in case you came in. There they are. I just love them. This is the comic book, The Spirits, The Forgotten Souls of Bay Path. Beautiful illustrations, the artwork in it. And then there's Spirits of New England, Hauntings and Ghosts and Demons. And he said there's about 6-7 stories. Now, I have not read that one, but this one here, Paranormal Research. Just go look it up on Amazon, and you'll get to see the back cover and a couple of pages that you can go through. I think you're really going to dig the way this is done, and I really love the cover, but there's thought in every page. And we can always learn more. I don't care how good we are at something. If we can improve it just a little bit each time, there's really, no sense to keep going. That's how I feel. I always want to strive to do it a little better next time, or enjoy it a little more, because now I've got it down so I can enjoy it a little bit more. But the Carly's is The Paranormal Survivor, Dark Dreams, Season 5, Episode 5. We have put that link in there where you can watch that free of charge on Daily Motion. I watched it on my phone, Android, whatever. So it's hard to find if you don't have all these different apps, but there it is. It's free. You got a couple commercials, but it's totally worth it. What this young girl went through, and like she said, this was really over, several years, to where she was finally at it. It's a process. But because she didn't have a lot of help at the time, she had spiritual help, and she had a spirit guide and her grandfather coming back from the dead to help her. She was able to find a way to get through, and then, good people came there and helped her move through it. And that's what I want to do for you guys. Don't go to, the dark side, or think you're not worth it, or think you're not this or that. Everybody deserves the good cookie every now and then. Everybody. So I'm telling you that. Cisco said it. Everybody in the chat's going to say it. And that's just the way it is. You deserve the good cookie. So Aunt Edna, you weren't here last week, darling. I hope everything is fine. I love you so much. I just wanted you to know, if you didn't see the last episode, I featured the story about Luther in Gatekeeper's Gallery of Resurrected Renderings. I had to share it because that was it. And I'll tell you something else, Aunt Edna. We told that story, and Steve and I, we get clicked off, and we start mentioning stuff back and forth. It was wonderful. And we started talking about different spirit things. And after your story, I said, absolutely. I had a butterfly and a cardinal. And I said, and one of the things people forget all the time is pennies from heaven. Remember that old song, Pennies from Heaven? And it made me think all about it. So I'm singing this, right? And I probably sang it wrong, but what I can remember, it's an old song. And I go out to my car. That was shut. Nobody, was in my car. And I look down, and right in the middle of the seat, not toward the back or off to the side, right smack dab in the middle, date up, is a penny from heaven with my birth year on it. And the minute I saw it, I said, that's going to happen. I mean, I wear glasses. I had to pick up the penny to look at the date. And I was like, what is this? What is it? I couldn't see it from the, standing up. And as soon as I saw that penny, I said, that's going to have my birth year on it. I guarantee you that's for my mama saying happy birthday. And when I reached out, picked it up, and could see it, it's my birth year. So thank you, Mama. I appreciate that. They find a way. When you open that up and you open yourself to it, right, Aunt Edna? It comes. And it was just so cool. And you had something to do with that, Aunt Edna, because if you hadn't, pennies from heaven and all that, and sometimes you put that stuff out there, they hear it and they go, oh, I'm going to do that because she's going to pay attention to that, And I just think it's so cool. So I wanted to share that with you. And I also wanted to share this. This is kind of neat. So Uncommon Belief, if you could drop that last link to All Music. I found a little video here and I thought it was kind of cool. And I wanted to share because I know... I'm sorry, it's chilly in here. I grabbed a scarf, so that's why I'm wrapping up. It's like, woo. But it's real cold here. It felt colder at 44 today than it did at 24 a couple of days ago. I don't know. That's kind of weird, isn't it? But anyhow, you know how we're always talking about the paranormal is both scary and beautiful at the same time. Supernatural for sure, right? And, see, and Edna, that's great. Hang on, I gotta put that up. What I love most about it was my husband heard it too and made me feel loved. That's it. And, so many stories of this, like the Christmas story, my mom came through and, she kind of like went right through me. I felt like I was hugged and she just kind of went right through me and just like lit up my whole body with warmth and love. It was nuts, man. It's crazy. So here is kind of like this musical version of, what's the word? Almost the way the paranormal supernatural feels to me. To me, it's creepy, beautiful. So I saw this little snippet of a video, and then I followed through, and it led me to a YouTube channel, and I put it on here. It's All Music. It was like Any Music, ANI Music LLC. And there's the link. Thank you, mods, and thank you, Uncommon Belief. Because I only did a little snippet of it, and if it gets copyright, I'm going to have to cut it off the end. That's why I saved it for the very end. But you're going to see that in live. I wanted to explain that real quick. I was telling Donnie about it. That if I'm doing a little vid and if I use like a ringtone or something like that, sometimes I can get away with, enhancing a video with a little bit of that. And I don't want to use anybody's stuff. But if a song is like 35 years old and whoever is still pulling on it every time you use 8 seconds of it and you want everything, you want the entire like 53 cents that I make on the ads that this might get in the next month or whatever, because that's how YouTube gives you money, because I won't put an ad every 5 minutes. I won't do that to my listeners. I only pick for the ad to be in the front and it's a skippable or the end. Because if you're listening to something while you're sleeping and some music blares out in a commercial. It's so annoying, and I will not do that to my listeners for an extra 38-40 cents. I just don't care. I'm not doing this, for the money. Because it's just like the book. You're not going to get rich writing a book. I wrote the book for people. That's it. So if this is at the end, if you ever watching a video after and you didn't catch the live and the music doesn't make sense with the video, or there's a blank spot cut out, sometimes YouTube will just make me cut out that 30 seconds. Well, what you're going to see is a bunch of us laughing at something that they didn't see because they made me take it off, and I'll do that. But I wanted you to see it live, so I'll go through the effort to do that because it was needed at the time. And I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for the listeners. And you guys are special to me. So if you didn't see last week, Crispy coming in hot with dreadlocks, playing his Fender guitar and rocking with with Keith Richards, you missed it. But I'm trying to do little stuff for you guys too. So if you ever come in late and that's not there, I apologize. It's not going to happen a lot, but that explains a little bit of what, it didn't make sense or it didn't sound as right. So anyway, I saw this today and I thought this was a beautiful visual of Creepy Beautiful, and I hope you like it. Please go follow the YouTube channel on the link and go look at all the different stuff they have and give them a like. All, everything goes to them, but I hope you love this. It's just so cool. Here you go. And it's called, oh gosh, what is the name of it? It's going to say it on here. Just a second. Is not the coolest thing ever? So thank you so much. It's called Resonant Chamber. Gorgeous. These people over here at Any Music, can you imagine what it took to do that? And the first time I saw it, I just said, man, that's Creepy Beautiful. I got to show the chat. So go follow them over on YouTube at Any Music LLC. Give them a like. Give them a watch. If you're having a night and you just want to see some really cool stuff and almost the miracle of what human hands can do and minds coming together can just accomplish just about the most beautiful things, And this whole thing is just Creepy Beautiful to me. But you guys are 100% beautiful. And I love you all. So thank you for coming in tonight. I'm so glad you finally got to meet Jack and Carly. And go check some of their stuff on Paranormal. All the different things. Haunted case files. Haunted hospitals. Paranormal Survivor. So many things. And I'm so glad that they took the time to come in tonight and spend this time with us. And thank you guys so much for making this channel more than I could ever have thought it could be. It's so lovely spending my Sundays and Mondays with you. Tomorrow night, what we're going to do is, I talked to Steve, we're going to try to do a listener call-in. Okay, and I want you guys, Donnie and I were talking to, he's really looking forward to hearing people's stories. If you don't want to put your face, or you don't have to, you can, it's just a little icon, it's real simple. You do have to have Chrome, I think, to use StreamYard. So if you want to use your phone and you just want to, just your voice or whatever, you have a story, you have a question, tomorrow night is going to be Gatekeeper night. People come in and stay and tell their stories. It's going going to be wonderful. And then we've got Nomar is coming on in a couple of weeks. He's going to talk about alien abductions. I've got a wonderful medium coming on in a couple of weeks. We're looking into doing a little stuff about the Lindbergh kidnapping. We're going to, oh boy, that one's going to, let me tell you something, that one's going to flip your hat right backwards. And I knew it. Just let me say that. And we've got a lot of different things. So Eric is coming in from Creepy Unsolved, and wait a minute, I might have that wrong. See, this is why I don't do this. I forget the names of the different groups. But anyway, you'll just be surprised. Eric's going to be here. I've got a lot of different things lined up. And I believe Dave Scott's going to come in, too, and talk a little bit about aliens and some experience. A lot of you guys maybe not realize, but Dave Scott's got some really amazing abilities. And I'd love to get him on here to talk about stuff like that. So I'm working, getting you a lot of good shows. But right now, I want to get to know you guys a little bit, too, and get you to tell your stories if you want to. If you don't, just come in the chat and support us. Let's have a good time. I love you all. You make my Sundays and Mondays just amazing. And there's a lot more of that over there on Any Music. I love you all. Thank you, Donnie, and everybody for the super chats, and for, you don't need to do that, but boy, it helps. I thank you so, so much. And see you tomorrow night. What do you think, guys? I love you all. Keep your feet under the covers. Keep your closet doors shut, because there are things that go bump in the night, but that's okay, because we're all together, and we're gonna get through it, because it's creepy beautiful sometimes. Good night, everybody. 1 second, and we are outie.